What's up guys, Manny from Motomillion, and it's time for Sprocket and Chains. Now that our oil leak is in our rear view mirror guys, that it's not leaking anymore, and I hope it's not, I want to tackle on the project of the SP2 and continue along with it. It does come with a 520 kit on it from the factory. Yes, the SP2, the SP, the R models come with a 520 sprocket and chain setup from the factory. And for years, we've been doing this conversion on these bikes. And we did often get some comments saying that you shouldn't be running a 520, it's not strong enough. And our answer was always, we pick and choose the tensile strength ratings of the parts that we use and it's good enough. And here's your answer, the OEMs have answered. Why did they run a 520 instead of a 525? The difference is the thickness of the chain, and that relates to the weight of the chain. So the less weight that it has to rotate, you're gonna make more power at your rear wheel, not at the crank. The crank power stays the same, but by the time that power comes from the crank to your rear wheel, it starts going through the parasitic losses, and that's what we're after. We want to lose as little as power as possible, and that's why we're going for a lightness in this case. And what do we have? We have our Sitta rear sprocket and our Superlite rear sprocket. These are both great options. As we've said it, we pick and choose what we sell to you guys. We curate these things. If we didn't think these are the best of the best, we would not offer it to you guys. This is a steel sprocket. This is an aluminum sprocket. A steel sprocket will last a little bit longer, but it is kind of on the heavy side. It's lighter than a stock setup, but this is a pound heavier than this one right here. This is an aluminum sprocket with a dura-aluminum coating. Sitta is an amazing brand. They've been used in MotoGP and World Superbike. You could probably see their logos if you start looking around the bikes that they're racing those series. And we're opting in for this. This should last around 2,000 miles. If we take care of our chain, meaning if we keep it clean after each ride. For our Sprocket Carrier, I opted in for the Evotech. There's a lot of great options like the Ducati ones or the Evotech ones. I love the Evotech one because it's the lighter one. And in this case, everything that you get in terms of Ducati or Evotech is gonna be lighter than factory one. It's just, I think you should choose what you like in terms of the look. I really like the look of this. Maybe it looks better to me because I know it's lighter by margins, by very, very little margin. And the next piece that we're going to be using is our cush drives by Superlite. So this doesn't come with the red nut, it comes with the black nut, which is a steel nut. This is a lighter setup than the factory cush drive, but also it's a sturdier piece. It has a harder polyurethane over here so that there's no judder. And also this stud you see over here that holds your Sprocket Carrier is titanium. We're going to measure everything at the end to show you guys how much weight we save. And I think we're not going with the black nut that comes on it. We're using our Ducati aluminum nuts. Right off the bat, I could tell you that guys, that this is pretty light. I think these are actually lighter than the titanium nuts that are available. And for our front sprocket, we're going to be using our Sitta front sprocket. And for a chain, finally, it's the DID ERV7 chain. We love our EK3D chains. They do look amazing, but it's a little bit heavier than this one. It's not by much, but I think we're going with the ERV7 just because the tensile strength of these are almost as high as the EK3D. The EK3D has a little higher tensile strength, but I think in this case, we're not going just for looks, we're going for the optimal weight savings. So I opted in for this ERV7 chain. Either way, you can't go wrong, but also if you want a little bit of color, like the black and gold chains of their EK3Ds, no one makes anything like it. They look amazing and they're the top of the line product. So I think enough talking, let's get working. I'm gonna first weigh all of this together, and then we'll weigh it separately. I'm going to write it down on a piece of paper, then we'll pull everything off the bike and weigh it, and then install everything back on there. Guys, I had to remove a bunch of things because of our pretty sprocket cover that we have in the front, but it's okay, no big deal. But then now it's time to cut the chain. I already loosened my front sprocket, but before I take anything off, I want to make sure that I can remove my chain. And this time around, we're actually using our DID KM500R tool. And I love this tool not for its cutting ability, but it's the ability to be able to press and rivet the stuff. It's a lot more foolproof than the PBR chain tool that we use by Motion Pro. This is a little bit easier to use. It's a little more expensive, but I think I prefer to use this because it makes it a lot less stressful when you're dealing with the chain. And what you do is it has everything. It has cut, press, rivet on it as well. I'm gonna grab my chain tool, put it in place, and this is our master link that we could see. You could just put it like this, put this in its place. And now we could just cut the chain. Some people use a grinder just to grind the master link off and pop it off. I think this is probably easier for me. I don't want to deal with grinders and stuff and make spark all over the place. It's this simple, guys. It already pushed the pin through. This is our pin. That's already off, and as soon as I remove this tool, you will see that the chain will come off. Just like that. If I could give you guys advice, for any chain tool you use, I would just always grab an extra pin for it because it's easy to break them if you're not being careful. You want to make sure this pin is dead on flat when you're pushing anything. But yes, stuff happens and we do get forgetful or your mind goes somewhere else. You don't want to be stuck doing your job because you didn't pick up a $10, $20 pin that you could have had extra. So it's something that I would recommend. I always keep extras around because I've broken them in the past and you never know when they're going to go. And I think also as you use them, they get worn out through the stress that you put them through, that they could just break just because of use as well. And now let's put the bike in neutral. Guys, I think I'm going crazy, but this thing smells like cherries. Maybe, I don't know. This bike's been driving me nuts for a little bit, so it could be that. And I did cut 6 links off because the bike's a 114 link to have a proper comparison. This is weighing already less than the stock chain, which even the stock chain is a 520, as you guys know. Okay, I have all my weights for the parts that we're putting on. Let me start pulling the other stuff off and then we'll put everything back on there. As if we didn't have enough of a mess here, guys, I made more of a mess just to take everything apart that I didn't even have to take apart, just so that you guys can have the individual weights of all the parts. So here it goes. The stock rear sprocket was 1,269 grams. The Sitta rear sprocket is 532 grams. The Sprocket Carrier for the stock one is 321 grams. The Evotech one is 287 grams. The front sprocket is 248 grams stock. The Sitta one is 211 grams. The cush drives are 78 grams each, and we got 6 of them, so that's 468 grams in total. And the Superlite ones are 45 grams each, meaning they're 270 grams in total. The sprocket nuts, the small ones, are 10 grams a piece for the stock ones, meaning 60 grams in total. Our Ducati nuts are 5 grams, meaning 30 grams in total. Our large nut, which is the big nut that holds the whole sprocket assembly in place, that's 120 grams for the stock one, and the TWM one is at the featherweight 42 grams. The stock chain is 1,979 grams, and the chain that we're using, which is the DID ERV7 chain with the same exact length, is 1,757 grams. So in total, the stock setup is 4,457 grams, and the setup that we're running in total is 3,129 grams. That's quite a bit of weight savings, and for you Imperial people, that's 2 pounds and 15 ounces, almost 3 pounds lighter for this whole setup, and in grams it's 1,328 grams lighter. That's a huge weight savings, guys. I didn't expect this, especially this one comes with a 520 kit from the factory, but imagine if you have a Panigale V4, V4S or a Street Fighter V4, V4S, All of these parts fit on that bike as well, and those bikes come with a 525 kit on there. It's going to be a whole lot of difference. I think it'll be very close to 4 pounds at that point. So I'm super happy. This is insane weight savings. I wasn't expecting it. I was thinking more closer to the high 1 pounds and low 2 pounds. We're almost at 3 pounds to 2 pounds and 15 ounces. Let me get everything out back on the bike, and then let's admire how beautiful it's going to look as well. Guys, what I did was that there's 2 pinch bolts on the back over here by the swing arm for the single-sided swing arm bikes, because what we want to do is we want to pull the axle forward so that we could easily put our new chain on, and then we'll set our chain tension once we have the chain all in place, and we could pull it back. And you're going to need a tool like this, and this is our eccentric tool that we have, and it comes as a kit with TWM's rear wheel tool, so it has an insert in it. This is so that you could take it off on the wheel side, and you use this insert over here. And on the sprocket side, you don't need that insert because it fits right here, so that you could tighten this. This is specially designed so that it doesn't mar this beautiful finish on the Sprocket Carrier nuts and on the wheel nut on the other side. And if you come take a look, if I grab my eccentric tool and put it in place, since we are running the same exact chain length, I know that you definitely have to first loosen it up, move the axle forward, put your chain together, and then pull it back to the proper measurement. I think I've already showed you guys how to use this tool on our M1000RR sprocket and chain video, but always when I rivet the links, I always grab my vernier caliper to make sure that these rivets are spread enough. And in this case, I just measure the stock ones versus the ones that we've spread. And perfect. I think this is done. Now we could set our chain tension, put everything back together, and this is done. Our eccentric is torqued down. Now all we gotta do is torque this rear Sprocket Carrier nut, and we should be done. That's it, guys. Our lightweight 520 setup is on the bike. I'm calling it the lightweight 520 setup because this bike came with a 520 kit on it already from the factory. We saved almost 3 pounds, which is amazing. This thing looks gorgeous, even though that the belly pan is missing all the CNC machine products that are here. And our chain sprocket setup, I think it looks on point. And for you guys who are wondering, all the products we use on all our videos are in the description below, so check out the links there so that you could easily access them. But that's it for this episode. I think the chain setup is perfect. If you guys missed the last episode, we did fix our oil leak, or we think we fixed our oil leak. So next for us is to take this beauty for a ride. I can't wait. I've missed this thing. This is so much fun. You have no idea. So I'm going to clean up here, put our belly pan on, and we'll take it for a spin next time. But that's it for this episode. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Until next time, guys, have a good one.